This is a war for your mind. There we go. We're off mute now. All right. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here. I'm just going to go ahead and I just want to get right into it. I've been working on this for a little while, so I just want to dive right in. Because I don't want to keep anybody here all night or anything like that. So we're just going to get into it. Really what I'm going to be talking about is influence and power and a government that forgot who it works for, right? Just like the title says, right? And so yeah. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I guess I want to start with a question. And that's, what is the strangest thing about Washington, D.C.? Everybody in this town acts shocked when you mention foreign influence, as if the entire city wasn't basically a revolving door with a flag on top. But there's one subject that they get jumpy about faster than a freshman senator near a live microphone. And that is Israel's footprint in American politics. And if you say it out loud, you'll watch the furniture shift like it's alive, right? So first off, let's relax. Okay. We're not talking about religion. We're not talking about culture, not ethnicity. We're talking raw, industrial grade political weight. The kind that bends steel, or maybe melts the beams, careers, and foreign policy. So let's start with the lobby network. Okay, that's the big one, right? And the name that everyone knows but pretends not to know, and that's AIPAC. So AIPAC isn't a lobby, right? It's AIPAC is a gravitational field, okay? Politicians don't join or leave it. They literally orbit AIPAC. And AIPAC is not a single offender, okay? It's not alone. There's the Israeli American Council, NORPAC, the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, and a constellation of think tanks and donor networks that all politely avoid the term influence while strategically practicing influence harder than any organization you've ever seen. People act like these are shadowy outfits. They're not. These groups hold conferences with better lighting, definitely better lighting than in here, but better lighting than the Oscars. Let's be real. They hand out pamphlets. They shake hands. They take photos with politicians who smile and like they're being knighted. Like they feel honored to be there, right? And what's crazy is that it's all public. There's nothing covert. There's nothing out of a spy thriller. Just the world's most effective political machine doing what political machines do. Okay. Now let's talk about the politicians, because I'm dropping names. I don't give a shit. Okay. I want to drop politicians' names. I'm going to probably get put on some sort of list. I'm sure this video is going to get flagged right after I upload it to YouTube. But let's talk about the politicians who show up to these events like they're checking in with their supervisor. Okay. This is both sides of the aisle here. Okay. Chuck Schumer. I mean, Chuck treats Israel like it's a second home district. If Tel Aviv sneezes, Chuck Schumer is on cable news explaining the sneeze, defining the sneeze, and arguing that you should fund antihistamines over there, that way, right? And let's not forget Lindsey Graham. Dude, this dude will Lindsey Graham will lecture you about Israel's security with more fire than he has ever used to talk about hospitals in South Carolina. That's not ideology. That's fucking loyalty to something outside of his voters. The only people that these people should have loyalty to are the people that they were elected to serve and represent, right? The whole no taxation without representation. Okay. Let's get into it. Let's get back into the names here. Let's not forget Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. You'd think that a House Minority Leader would juggle multiple priorities, but half of Mr. Jeffries' biggest donor clicks could fit into a single AIPAC ballroom. Let that one sink in. Marco Rubio. Rubio had my support briefly leading up to the 2016 election. But I'm telling you, if you asked Rubio to rank the top 5 threats to America, he'd name 3 that are technically threats to Israel that come pre-labeled as our responsibility, the United States' responsibility. Ted Cruz, we all know Ted Cruz. Oh, Ted. Golly, man. Dude should put a mask back on, man. You're creepy. Every time a Middle East conflict happens, Cruz turns into a one-man PR firm. And meanwhile, Texas is back home asking if he even remembers that the border exists. Oh, and Nikki Haley. Let's not forget Nikki Haley. I mean, shit, man. Her campaign speeches could pass for audition tapes for ambassador to Israel. I mean, get real. These are not fringe outliers that are new to the political world or are trying to disrupt it. These are all lifelong politicians that have worked their way up to become major power brokers by bending the knee, and they behave as if Israeli interests are American interests by default. And it's not because Israel is bad or malicious. That's not what this is about right now. Okay. It's because power rewards obedience. So let's zoom out, widen the lens a little bit. Every time Israel launches a military operation, Washington reacts like the United States is contractually obligated to participate. Congress rushes out statements faster than they can proofread them. Defense contractors start prepping proposals before the fucking dust settles. Editorial boards in half the country's newspapers stand up like choir singers awaiting their cue. And here's the part that should bother every American, and does for those that are awake. But here's the part that bothers Americans on a deep and personal level. This is not how your government reacts to your problems. Americans don't get urgency. Americans don't get they don't get that urgency, right? They don't get that speedy response. They don't get a draft before a proposal before the dust settles. Right? Americans get committees and studies, delayed votes, budget constraints, excuses, speeches about how it's complicated, shutdowns. But a foreign nation with a powerful lobby, suddenly Washington turns into the world's fastest fucking bureaucracy to ever exist. And people say, so what? Allies influence allies. Sure. You keep telling yourself that. Let me tell you this. This isn't influence. This is priority inversion. It's when a foreign policy becomes a domestic constant, a fixed point, a holy obligation, while your own domestic needs get pushed and fed to the back of the line. And then comes the big ugly question. If your elected officials show more consistency defending the interests of another country than they do defending you, what exactly is their relationship to you? I'm not asking you to accuse anyone of treason. I'm asking a civic question. Where does representation end and capture begin? Israel behaves as any serious nation would, to be honest. It's relentlessly advancing its interests. No shame there. That's what sovereign states and nations do. Read a fucking history book. The real issue is that America forgot how to be sovereign in return. And you can see the fingerprints across decades. The U.S. backing Israel during the Lebanon conflicts, even when American diplomats warned that it would destabilize the entire region. The pattern of American vetoes at the UN that have nothing to do with U.S. strategic interests, but everything to do with political pressure at home. The billions in military aid, rubber stamped regardless of behavior, legality, or strategic cost to the United States. Let's be real. We shouldn't be sending money anywhere. The intelligence sharing relationship that somehow always feels asymmetrical. The way presidential candidates, every single fucking cycle, make a pilgrimage to donors and lobby groups long before they meet half of the states that they claim to represent. You want to talk about war? America has drifted into more Middle Eastern conflicts than it can count. often before policymakers are tangled in the priorities, because they're tangled in the priorities of a region that's not even theirs. None of this requires malice. Just inertia. Political inertia, powered by money, powered by pressure, powered by credibility branding, and most of all, powered by a fear of donor retaliation. Here's the philosophical center of the whole thing. Americans believe their government is neutral unless proven otherwise. I got news for you. Washington is not neutral. No matter how much it wants to say it is, it's not. And if you believe that it is, you're blind. Washington responds to incentives. And the Israeli lobby is one of the few entities that offers consistent incentives. Decade after decade, across both parties, with no drop in intensity. Look, guys, influence doesn't require conspiracy, okay? Influence is what happens out in the open while the public stays too busy, too tired, too hopeful, or too distracted to notice. Let's get uncomfortable. You're not supposed to say any of this because someone might misunderstand you. Someone might accuse you of motives you don't have. Or someone might panic at the idea that Americans are allowed to analyze foreign policy critically. But healthy nations allow criticism. Weak nations panic when the truth gets spoken out loud. And right now, America feels like a country terrified. Abso-fucking-lutely terrified of admitting that power gets exercised on it, not just by it. If this all feels heavy, it should. Because it forces a question that no politician wants you to ask. Who governs the American government? The voters? The donors? The lobbies? The foreign policy clergy who rotate between think tanks and the State Department? The consultants? The billionaires? The foreign influence networks that operate out in the open, perfectly legal, perfectly funded, and perfectly organized? Is it them? In a healthy republic, influence is balanced. And in a captured one, influence chooses policy. Israel is not the only lobby shaping America, but it's the one that Washington is most terrified to acknowledge, which makes it the one most in need of scrutiny. Now, scrutiny is not hostility. Scrutiny is patriotism. You can support Israel, or you can care about Israelis. You can have respect for Jewish communities. And after all of that, you can still demand that America prioritize America. If America first sounds radical, then the country is further gone than anyone wants to admit. It is. It's true. If prioritizing your country is radical, then I think, in my opinion, the country's already gone. How are you going to send $18 billion to a country when you're $35 trillion in debt? That's one question. And I have a lot. A lot. I am very frustrated, and it's taken a long time to get to this point where I can no longer allow myself to be silent. And, you know, we're getting to the part where monologues and speeches and statements or whatever. This is a monologue where, you know, they do a whole call to action. I'm not doing that. Okay. I'm not. What I'm doing for you guys is I'm giving you a mirror. The reflection in that mirror is yours to handle. So after dragging quiet truths into the light, like a busted generator needing repair, after tearing through donor networks, the foreign lobbying pipelines, the shadow diplomacy circuits, and the entire polite little fiction America and this little fictional story that America acts independently. After doing all of that, and tearing through and ripping all of that shit apart, we are faced with a choice. I'm faced with a choice. You're faced with a choice. This choice is not between left and right. It's not between red and blue. It's not between R and D. It is not between Israel and Palestine. You're standing at a fork in the road. And if you're not there yet, it doesn't matter whether you want to be reached. If you want to have to make a choice on whether to go, where to go at this fork, every single American is going to have to make a choice when they get to this fork in the road. And every single person, if they have not already made that choice and continued their life down the path that they believe is right, you'll get there. You're on your way. Not everybody is as quick as others, right? You're standing at a fork, though. And on one side is truth, transparency. And on the other side I'm sorry, I'm just watching these frames drop here. I'm dropping a whole bunch of frames again, and I thought I had all of that fixed already. So I apologize. But on one side, you've got truth, and the other side, you have sedation. Okay, it's a red pill, blue pill. Okay, if you take the red pill, you will be awakened and and you'll see this world for what it really is, right? If you take the blue pill, you're going to stay here in your happy little fucking land and life's going to go on and you're going to grow and be nobody and die and be forgotten. We're all on that path. 99% of us, at least. So when that happens, you get to this fork in the road and you can either go with truth or you can continue to allow yourself to be sedated. All right. That's just those are your options. Okay. That's it. Those are your options. Because that's the real man, I am just dropping frames. I'm sorry, guys. I need to fix this. Give me just a second. I need to see if I can fix this while we're still going here. I just don't understand why I'm not doing anything. I'm not running anything in the background. What's in the background here? And yeah, I mean, it's got to be something to do with my connection. Hmm. I don't know, Captain. I don't know. But I am just dropping frames. What in the world is going on here? Like nothing changed from the last time that I streamed, and I'm just getting tons of frame. It says, what's it say here? Where's my stats? Skipped frames, frames missed due to rendering. I don't know. This down here is saying, what stats doc is this? This Twitch? No, this. What is this? Status bar? Yeah, I don't really care about that. I care about, oh, right here. Dropped frames from my network. Oh. Network frame drop. See, and I had some network connectivity issues. We had some stuff really messed up a little while back, but and they supposedly came out and fixed it. So I might have to do a little bit of network troubleshooting here after we get done with this. So, but guys, look, let me wrap this up. Like I said, I don't want to keep everybody here for forever. And we'll at least have the audio, and sorry if the video continues to lag. I hope the audio is not lagging too. I adjusted my bit rate a little bit, so hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps. Audio's great. Is the video skipping still? Maybe not. Am I doing like a, strobe effect? No. Okay. So look, like I said, you can red pill or you can blue pill this thing. Okay. Because that's the real battlefield here. The actual war. It's not the ones Congress funds overseas, and it's not the ones that cable news pretends to remotely understand. Okay. This is a war for your mind. This is a war for the American mind. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're losing. Every empire that ever fell had one thing in common. And that one thing, it convinced itself that its allies were, or I'm sorry, its alliances and its allies, its alliances were unshakable. It convinced itself that its leaders were untouchable, and it convinced itself that its public was too stupid or too scared to notice the cracks forming in the wall. And here we are, repeating the script like we're auditioning for the remake of Rome. You've got a Congress that jumps when AIPAC snaps its fingers. You've got cabinet officials who speak more boldly about defending foreign borders than American ones. You've got media pundits who foam at the mouth the moment you even question America's role as Israel's eternal fucking bodyguard. And the moment that someone suggests that maybe, just maybe, our foreign policy should serve American interests first, they get fed into the industrial shredder called anti this or anti that. The labels are the first line of defense. The smears are the second. The silence is the third. And all three are working fucking flawlessly right now. But here's the twist. It's not about Israel. No, not really. It's about a system so compromised, so thoroughly wired into foreign influence, corporate money, intelligence backrooms, and defense industry addiction that questioning any of it is treated as heresy. Israel's just the loudest example because no other lobby in Washington has built an infrastructure this bulletproof. No other foreign nations has a political influence machine that can make a U.S. senator apologize in under 5 minutes. No other ally gets to veto criticism through sheer institutional mass. But the real problem isn't the lobby. No. The real problem is not the lobby. It's us. It's the public. It's me, it's you, it's our parents, it's our grandparents, our aunts and our uncles, even our friends, our coworkers. It's the country that keeps sleepwalking into every conflict someone else engineers because we've forgotten to ask the most important question any free people should ever ask. Who benefits? And the moment you start asking who benefits, everything changes. You look at the wars we got dragged into. You look at the blank checks signed with your tax dollars. You look at politicians who suddenly grow spines of wet cardboard the moment a donor calls. And you realize that this isn't support. This isn't allyship or an alliance. This is a pipeline of influence built so deep into the bones of the American state that ripping it out would snap the spine of Washington in half. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit. That every empire has its moment. This line, right? This tipping point where the people either reclaim their nation or watch it get carved up by interests that don't even pretend to give a shit about you. And that moment doesn't arrive with a gunshot or a riot. It doesn't come riding in on a revolution. It whispers. It sits. It waits. And it shows up in living rooms and headphones and quiet drives home from work. When a person hears something that makes them stop and think, why have I never questioned this before? If you made it to this point, that person that I just described, asking that question on that quiet drive home from work, that's you. You crossed that line. Because you crossed it, you can't go back. You don't unsee the gears turning behind the curtain. You don't unhear the words politicians weren't supposed to say into hot mics. You don't unlearn the way power operates when nobody's looking. So just like how we started, I'm going to end with a simple question. What kind of American do you want to be? The kind that accepts the world handed to you like a preloaded script? Or the kind that looks power in the eye and says, explain yourself? This isn't about Israel. This isn't about the Israel lobby. And honestly, this isn't about Washington. This is about whether the people of this country still believe that it belongs to them. Empires fall from the outside, but republics rot from within. And we are rotting. We are like a pumpkin from Halloween that's still sitting out on somebody's porch, man. We are rotting. So either we pull the infection out by the roots, no matter how deep it runs, or we stand back and we let the same foreign interests, the same corporate donors, the same intelligence bureaucrats, and the same permanent state actors write the final chapter of a nation that once promised the world that it wouldn't be owned by anyone. The clock's ticking. And that pretty little mask that they've been wearing is beginning to fall. History does not wait for the hesitant. So thank you guys for joining me in this adventure, in this discovery. Thank you. And I just want to welcome you all to foster the truth. And I guess I'll end it with this. I'm done asking for permission. I'm done asking for permission to say what needs to be said.